Biden receives an unusual helping hand from big business in his effort to relieve consumer suffering. Corporate America is supporting President Joe Biden's fight against high consumer costs in an unexpected way. A few businesses are beginning to follow the rules on their own just weeks after Biden called for restrictions on insulin costs and junk fees in his State of the Union address. They are making optional changes to reduce patients' medical expenses and facilitate family travel. The actions have given Biden a surprising set of victories ahead of an anticipated re-election campaign that will probably depend on his management of the economy and rising consumer costs. Additionally, they have given a broader domestic agenda, which the president frequently refers to as giving a little bit of breathing space to struggling families, new life within the White House. Bharat Ramamurthy, Deputy Director of the National Economic Council and one of the officials leading the junk food effort, said, "The president has made clear for more than a year now that a top priority is bringing down costs for people. The fact that he is ready to vehemently criticize specific behavior and draw attention to is motivating these corporations, at least some of them, to support us. The slight adjustments that businesses have made over the past few days are the product of both corporate calculations and political pressure." Eli Lilly, a pharmaceutical company, plans to lower the price of its insulin and cap out-of-pocket expenses for patients with privately insured plans at $35 per month, putting it in line with a cap Democrats placed on Medicare as part of the Inflation Reduction Act of last year. The company's financial performance won't likely be impacted by the changes, though the discounts will only be offered on its older goods. Similar to how Biden last month criticized the practice of treating children like a piece of luggage, three major airlines, United, American, and Frontier, are eliminating additional fees that parents frequently pay to ensure they can sit with their children on flights. The industry standard for additional seat and luggage fees is still being maintained. The statements nevertheless led to celebrations in the West Wing, where staffers anticipate increased pressure on rivals to follow suit, giving Biden real-world new accomplishments to brag about. Democrats have long fought against high drug costs, in large part because polls show that both Democrats and Republicans are most concerned about the affordability of prescription drugs. Meanwhile, White House economic advisors tasked with putting together Biden's junk fee plan focused on unexpected fees that are simply the most likely to drive Americans insane while also having an impact on wider economic competition. Danielle Diaz-Roth, temporary executive director at Data for Progress, said that she conducts a lot of polling and that it is unusual to see policies that enjoy such broad support. According to a post-State of the Union poll by the progressive think tank, nearly 80% of voters support outlawing fees for things like performance tickets, hotel stays, and seating families together in airplanes. Saving families money cuts across political boundaries, she said. Biden is advocating for all-encompassing legislation that would enshrine those price caps everywhere. After being forced out of the IRA by Republican opposition, the White House has promised to resume its quest of a global insulin price cap. Additionally, ever since Biden outlined his idea for a Junk Fee Prevention Act during the State of the Union, aides have looked for Democratic legislators who would be open to turning the concept into real law. But with a Republican House that is adamantly opposed to the administration's economic agenda, there is little hope that those ideas will gain momentum. Due to this, Biden officials are concentrating on persuading specific companies to make concessions, using what aides described as a mix of public pressure and gentler coaxing behind the scenes. The original COVID-19 response allowed the White House to refine its strategy. It announced plans for extensive new rules, such as mandating that employers provide paid time off for vaccinations, while also enticing private companies to get a head start by implementing their own comparable regulations, and rewarding them when they did. Zach Butterworth, who previously served as the White House's liaison to the business community, said that if they could identify a company that was ready to take the first step, there was always a chance to persuade other companies to follow. The intention, he continued, was to instill a widespread belief among business leaders that if you weren't taking these measures, you were outside the mainstream. It's a strategy that's found varying success. For every industry-wide pact the White House secured on initiatives, such as discounted broadband internet access, it's faced resistance on others like lowering gas prices, where oil companies effectively shrugged off Biden's threats to rein in what he criticized as war profiteering. The Department of Transportation informed businesses that it intended to publish a table indicating which airlines charged parents extra to sit with their young children, prompting the airlines to decide to be more family-friendly. Eli Lilly is lowering insulin prices in response to ongoing criticism of the drug's price. In its announcement, the company even calls on policymakers, employers, and others to join us in making insulin more affordable, despite the fact that it initially resisted calls from consumer advocates until it made financial sense for the business. Biden has made a show of praising the businesses despite their questionable motivations in the hopes that it will persuade rivals to follow suit, if only for the sake of a positive PR boost. The praise is something we can always withhold, a top White House official said. Getting a pat on the back from the government is part of the benefit for the business. The response in business boardrooms has been more temperate. Though others may follow suit, analysts said it doesn't necessarily represent a fundamental shift in how the business behaves. According to Jay Sorensen, president of airline consulting firm Idea Works Company, the industry was moving in this direction anyway without the president making it part of his State of the Union. He added that family seat fees had already started to annoy another group, the flight attendants who had to arbitrate passengers' repeated requests to switch seats. Umar Rafat, a drug industry analyst for investment firm Evercore IC, gave a direct evaluation of Eli Lilly's price reductions, not a mover of needles for them. The business lobby's opposition to Biden's more extensive junk fee plan has not been diminished by the White House's bravado, with corporate executives complaining that the administration was grossly exaggerating the significance and appeal of the changes as well as its own part in promoting them. As Neil Bradley, chief policy officer at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, put it, what this is really about is attempting to impose price caps, and that didn't work very well in the early 1970s, and it's not going to work very well today. This is a government price control agenda that's attempting to be rebranded. It's not a junk fee agenda. Other airlines or insulin manufacturers have not yet responded to the increased focus with their own initiatives. Additionally, there hasn't been much progress made so far on the other goals related to the junk charge. The White House has not yet spoken with executives from Ticketmaster about its ticketing service fees or explicitly discussed efforts to outlaw resort fees with major hotel chains. Democrats counter that even if the financial effects are minimal, the actions present a sizable political chance for Biden and demonstrate the administration's commitment to small but noticeable changes in Americans' financial circumstances. Over the next 2 years, very few items of legislation will pass through Congress, according to Diasaroff. So it's almost a by proxy achievement for the Biden administration to be able to point to these victories and say, "We called for this and it's occurring."